Good afternoon. First, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the members of the Baton Rouge Press Club for inviting me to share with you today and talk about some of the projects that we have in store and on tap at Southern University. I'd also like to recognize our board members who are present with us today, Linda Johnson and Alan Simeon. They are both members of the Southern University System Foundation Board of Directors. Our team of volunteers and staff have worked really hard over the course of the last 4 years to activate philanthropy in a meaningful way. And they should be saluted for their work and the inspiration that sparked this invitation to speak with you today, to talk to you about two major projects that we have on tap at the Southern University System Foundation and on our Baton Rouge campus. We like to consider ourselves to be a mission-driven organization. And the mission of the Southern University System Foundation is to secure financial support for each of the 5 campuses of the Southern University System, to provide broader educational advantages for our students, encourage research among our faculty, and advance the university's role in increasingly building a functional Louisiana. To execute this mission, we know that we have to make sure we are doing what we say we will do. And one of the most important things that we do is to get proximate, getting close to our constituents, to our donors, to our alums. We can't solve problems from a distance. We know that we have to make sure that we are actively engaged with our community and not insular, but more towards the community and forward-facing. These two projects that I'll talk to you about today are results of us getting more familiar with our alums. Number one, Tony Clayton, a 1987 alum of the Baton Rouge campus and a 1991 graduate of the Law Center, and Leon Valdry and Warren Valdry, 1957 and 1959 alums of Southern University. Secondly, we know in order to execute our mission in a more effective way, we must change the narrative about HBCUs and our alums. There was an article that was written online last year that said, why don't HBCU alums invest in their institutions? Why doesn't Southern alums invest more effectively in their institutions? Whether that be true or not, we know that we are changing the narrative with these two projects. Leon Valdry, Warren Valdry, and Tony Clayton are all alums of Southern University. And their contributions over the course of the last 12 months are north of $2.5 million in cash revenue. The Clayton Championship Plaza is being made possible by a $1 million gift from Tony and Paula Clayton. In November of 2017, the Claytons made a gift of $500,000, with the remaining $600,000 to be raised by 2022. This Friday at our Board of Supervisors meeting, Mr. Clayton and his colleague, Attorney Caleb Dickerson, will present a check for $300,000, half of the $600,000 that have been pledged for the next 4 years. They are far above the pace of the $1.1 million gift. The Clayton Championship Plaza will be a pavilion and a plaza, and it will serve as an outdoor hall of fame, paying homage and saluting the athletes and all of the staff who have participated over the course of the last 100 years in Southern University athletics. Columns and pavers will be for sale, generating revenue to support the athletic department as well as the marching band. We're happy to have Stewart and Company as our general contractors for this project, and David Mujo is the architect of record. Our alum, Brian LaFleur from the BJL Group, will manage not only the Clayton Championship Plaza project, but also the Valdry Center for Philanthropy construction. The building cost for Clayton Championship Plaza will be roughly about $500,000. So the gift that was given by the Claytons, above and beyond the construction, will continue to generate revenue in a meaningful way to support the university, not just for this project, but in perpetuity. The project is scheduled to be about a 6-month construction project. We're hoping that we will be able to have a grand opening before the first home football game in September. The second project is the Valdry Center for Philanthropy. Leon Valdry, a 1957 graduate of Southern University, and Warren Valdry, a 1959 graduate of Southern University, who now reside in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills, California, inspired this project. For many years at Southern, we have reached out to alums and constituents to support our organization in a meaningful way. But we knew it was critically important for us to not only ask constituents to support the university, but to provide consistent and relevant education on how philanthropy can make an impact on our community. We all know well here in the city of Baton Rouge, when you look at the transformation of downtown Baton Rouge and everything that has happened with that over the course of the last 10 years, many of those contributions have come through private philanthropy as well as public investment. The Baton Rouge Area Foundation, along with a number of business partners, have been able to transform the landscape of what we have now in the city of Baton Rouge. We believe through programs at the Valdry Center for Philanthropy that we can do the same thing, not only for Southern University in North Baton Rouge, but for communities of color around the world and in this country. We had a major investment from the Vaudrey family, but we also have had a sizable investment in intellectual property from the Kellogg Foundation, who supported a feasibility study that lasted 6 months before we launched the concept of the Valdry Center for Philanthropy. The Valdry Center for Philanthropy will have 7 program strands to include social entrepreneurship, faith-based programming, seminars, lectures, and certificate programming, not-for-profit capacity building, educational initiatives geared toward HBCUs, and research around and about the field of philanthropy. The gift from the Vaudrey family that was given in March of this year was a total of $1 million. Mr. Valdry and his family has committed in perpetuity no less than $100,000 a year on top of the $1 million to support programming at the Valdry Center. Funding, as I said before, from the Kellogg Foundation has helped us to develop our program model moving forward, as well as helping us to engage more partners in the world of philanthropy to bring thought leaders into the city of Baton Rouge to deliver our courses. Bouquet LeBlanc will be the general contractors for the Valdry Center for Philanthropy, and Grace Hebert is the architect of record. The building will cost $4.4 million. It would be the first Center for Philanthropy at a historically black institution, as well as the first program around philanthropy and not-for-profit management at a historically black institution. We are really excited about both of these projects and what they mean for Southern University. You may have heard our president speak to you about a month ago about Imagine 20,000. Both of these projects wrap right into Imagine 20,000. We want to think and reimagine Southern University on the other side of the railroad tracks. We need to bring our living laboratories that we have on our campus to connect more effectively in a real way with the community in which we exist. We're excited about the potential of these projects as well as projects that we plan to wrap into Imagine 20,000 as well. We salute our alums, Tony Clayton, Paula Clayton, Leon Valdry, Warren Valdry. Southern University currently now has the highest average gift from alums of any HBCU, right? Now we're working to make sure that our alumni giving rate, that's the percentage of alums that we have giving, is the highest. But right now, our average gift on an annual basis from alums who give is north of $2,500 a year. So Mr. Valdry, as well as Mr. Clayton and Mrs. Clayton, have made us a shining star in the HBCU realm. But we're making sure that we're not only a shining star there, that we're changing the narrative and we're getting close to the situations and issues that we have to address as a institution of higher learning. Thank you for inviting me. We really appreciate the opportunity to share these two major projects with you. Walt Disney said, dream no small dreams because they have no magic. We're dreaming big dreams, and we're not only dreaming big dreams for ourselves, we're dreaming big dreams for the city of Baton Rouge as well as the state of Louisiana. Thank you. Questions?
Since it's probably in the packet, but I haven't gotten there yet. But could you give us a brief rundown, sir, on the state of the Southern endowments and obviously they probably have grown in the past year, blah blah blah. That sort of thing.
Sure, we'll bring you up to speed on that. The question was to give you a brief rundown on the state of Southern University's the systems endowment program. Currently, our endowment is at $13.5 million. The average university endowment is about $50 million, north of $56 million. We're planning to launch a endowment campaign called Your Gift, Your Legacy, Our Mission in August of this year. Our goal is to raise $50 million over the course of the next 3 years to bring us above that national average. We've identified a little over 890 prospects who have the capacity to give gifts north of $10,000 to support our endowment.
How much is it to fund an endowed scholarship at Southern and professorship?
Sure. The question was, how much is it to fund an endowed scholarship and or professorship at Southern University? There's a state program, a matching program that the Board of Regents manages. The threshold gift for the endowed scholarship is $50,000. And then you would put in an application to the Board of Regents to petition for a match. The threshold gift for endowed professorship has just been recently increased from $60,000 to $80,000. The Board of Regents would match that with $20,000 for a total of $100,000 that would be in the initial corpus of that endowed professorship. The endowed chair program, you didn't ask that, but that's also a program of the Board of Regents, requires a gift north of $600,000. The board can match up to, match $400,000 in matching revenue, or up to $1.5 million for an endowed chair.
Tony Clayton's gift, is that being matched at all?
Sure. So the question was, is Tony Clayton's gift being matched for an endowed professorship or an endowed scholarship or endowed chair? In the gift agreement from Mr. Clayton, he designated that a portion of his gift would go to establish an endowed chair or professorship at Southern University in he and his wife's name. We're going to use that amount once we reach the threshold and go back to Mr. Clayton to say, would you like this to be an endowed professorship or an endowed chair? Of course, the endowed chair will require $600,000, which would take a little longer for us to raise than the $80,000 that we've already raised today.
So I'm Bob Finette. I just wanted to tell you how exciting this is. This is really amazing. It's a great presentation. Could you just tell me something about Warren and Virginia Baldry and Leon Baldry? How did it take me on when they left Southern in 57, 59?
Sure.
What was their path to Los Angeles, California, and Beverly Hills? Does he live in 90210?
He does. Very nice home. Sure. So the question was to take him, just give him a little background on Warren and Leon Valdry. They're from New Roads. They grew up on Bush Road, right across the river. They graduated from Southern University. Warren, I believe, graduated from the College of Business, and Leon from the College of Engineering. They both moved to Los Angeles, California pretty soon after they graduated. Leon started off working at an engineering firm, and his story goes like this. A guy asked me to invest in some property, and I didn't trust the guy, so I didn't listen to him the first time. And then I saw the guy make some money, so then I invested with him on the second venture. And from then on, I've been a real estate investment individual, right? Real estate investment professional. He owns multiple properties throughout the city of throughout the city of Los Angeles and Beverly Hills. His brother, Warren Valdry, is also a businessman in the real estate business. And so they have been the largest contributor to Southern University over their lifetime, single contributor in terms of philanthropic gifts. It's north of $2.6 million in what they've given to the university.
So if you want to endow a professorship in someone's name, what is that? How much cash is that?
$80,000. That's the minimum threshold.
Okay, so if you wanted to endow a law professorship, $80,000 in law school, and what's the match of that?
You would apply to the Board of Regents for a minimum of a $20,000 match to make it a total of $100,000 in corpus.
$100,000 gets your name on a chair.
No, $100,000 gets your name on a professorship, but $600,000.
That's 600 cash from the donor.
600 cash from the donor. 400 match from the Board of Regents. You thinking about it?
Yep.
Okay, good. Michelle.
What do you contribute increased giving to? What are you doing to reach those alums? And how do you get more of the Baldrys and the Tony Claytons of the alumni world to give those kind of donations?
Sure. The question was, what would we contribute the increase in alumni giving to, and how do you find more Tony Claytons as well as Leon and Warren Valdrys of the world? The first part of that, we've squarely focused on our mission, right, and developing relationships with our constituents, our volunteers, our alums, our business partners, connecting their passions with the university's needs, right? People give to people, but people give to people with good causes. And so what we're doing is developing those relationships, spending time with the donors to find out what they're passionate about in the direction that they would like to see the university go and grow. And so I would say that that has been the major part of our success, but also the participation from our volunteers. We have over 200 volunteers who help us to raise money on an annual basis. It's a program we started about 4 years ago. It's called the $1 Million March. When we ask people to sign up to help us raise money and identify resources to support the university. We don't have a large development staff, so we have to bring on a number of volunteers to help us reach our goals and our objectives. To find more Leon Valdrys and Warren Valdrys and Tony Claytons of the world, they're out there. And we're cultivating those relationships right now. And we're connecting the dots, so to speak, to make sure that we are communicating to them in an effective way what the university's needs are, and then making sure that we hear them and listen to them in terms of what their passions are about giving.
How many living alums does Southern University System have, and then what percentage actually have made any contribution of any sort?
Very good question. So the question was, how many Southern alums do we have living currently on our rolls, and what was the second part of it again?
What percentage of those have made a contribution to those?
And what percentage of those alums have made contributions to the university? Currently on our rolls, we have about a little over 60,000 alums living. That's nationwide. Of that 60,000, we have roughly about 7% of them giving on an annual basis. The national average for colleges and universities is right at about 16.5%. Now, for the large schools like Southern, who has 60,000 alums on their rolls, right, compared to smaller schools, right, HBCUs like Xavier and Dillard, who may have 20,000. That number, right, that percentage number moves a lot quicker for the smaller schools than it would for a larger school. And so that's why I gave you the number of the average gift as well on our side. To move that percentage number for us would take about 2,000 new gifts to move it up. Whereas if you go to a smaller school that has less than 20,000 on their rolls, it would take less than 300 to 400 new gifts to move that dial.
I have a question.
Yes.
What do you think is the reason why the alumni have not come up with more money to Southern?
Sure. So the question was, what do you think is the reason why historically alumni have not given to Southern University specifically? Well, I won't say that they're not giving now, but historically, I think the biggest reason was that we didn't ask. And we need to ask frequently, right? We need to make sure that we're communicating to them after we secure those dollars, what we're doing with it, right? The overall impact of the philanthropic contribution. And we're doing that now more effectively. I think institutions that do a really good job of sharing what they're doing with those resources will ultimately, over a longer period of time, get more and get more people to give. Tony Clayton was inspired by other donors, right, to give and to step up. Now, he's always given, but now he's given major gifts because he has a level of trust with us now that he did maybe not have a few years ago.
Ask briefly about the reprogram. Working with, as I understand it from this quick glance, you're working with the Mandela School, and you're looking at a master's or PhDs in nonprofit management, studies, nonprofit studies. Could you riff on that a bit, because the nature of nonprofit jobs in this country is growing very rapidly.
Sure. So the question was, you made an observation that the program that we have right now is in conjunction at the Valdry Center with the Nelson Mandela School, College of Government and Social Sciences. So the Nelson Mandela College of Government and Social Sciences has had a master's in public policy and a PhD in public policy with a concentration in not-for-profit management for the last 20 years. And so we saw a direct correlation with the programming that we were bringing on with the Valdry Center to partner with the Nelson Mandela School and to serve as an agent and research center for that program. We have, over that period of time, awarded degrees from the Nelson Mandela School in Public Policy and Not-for-Profit Management to multiple people who are influential now in Louisiana and throughout the country. And so we saw in the Kellogg Foundation's feasibility saw a natural partnership there. We're also developing programming through the Valdry Center, as you saw here, and I mentioned to you in the different program strands in terms of not-for-profit capacity building and how we could partner more effectively with the Nelson Mandela School to offer services to the community. Many of the interviews that we did during the feasibility study led us to this partnership, as well as other partnerships that we would develop over time at the center.